Ready for another lesson? The power of the church in the African American community. As I told you before, I grew up in a church that was headed by a woman, but my grandfather went to a church that was headed by a man. Now, the church that he went to that was headed by a man was a very shisty character, let's just say it that way. But I say that I'm making this video today because I've lost all hope in the church, especially in the African American community. You know, the funny thing is that if you go into the church, you hardly see any men there. You go into the church and the first thing, what is the first thing that you see? You see a pastor, you hear music, people dancing, all of this good stuff. But my question is why don't the women get this excited for the husband at home? You don't get this excited to go cook me a meal. You don't get this excited to clean the house. So that's why I lost all faith in church, because the church pander to women because they know it brings in money. You have Sister Juanita or Sister Brenda or whoever you want to name her in the front row with children from 4 different men. And she have the audacity to sit down in the front row. Why? Because she know there's no condemnation coming down on her. She know that she's not going to be judged, ostracized, cast out of the church. She understand that. That's why she could do that. Even worse is that, you see these preachers that are more like pimps, and dress like pimps, act like pimps, live like pimps. But half of whose dollar? Yours and mine. Tithe and offering ain't going to God. Tithe and offering going to line pockets. You see them driving Rolls Royces, but they're barely doing anything for the community. You see them buying mansions, but they're barely doing anything for the community. When disaster strikes is when they want to step up because some hand forcing them to help the needy because they don't want to. But they want to look, quote unquote, good in the eyes of the people. You see people running through the aisles, you see people doing backflips, but the preacher telling you what you want to hear. And basically uplifting women but condemning men. This is something I've seen far too many times nowadays. And this is why I stopped going to the church. This is why I think that religion is a big Ponzi scheme, especially for the people that created it. I don't know if there's a heaven, I don't know if there's a hell, and we're not going to get into that here. But I can tell you one thing, when Christianity/Pentecostal was introduced into our community, I think that was one of the many things that caused the downfall. The church don't have men in it anymore. And the men that are in the church are in subservient positions because they're pleasing and placating the women in the congregation, yet alone pile driving the women in the congregation. It's funny that people say that, the Holy Ghost and people anointed and stuff. In the church that I went to, there was a married couple, and this was a stepfather to the young lady. Lo and behold, we find out that the guy was a predator. And he was doing things to the little girl, unspeakable things. Now, my question is if you're so anointed and the Lord ordained you as deacons and all kind of stuff, how come he didn't give you the insight to see this? I wonder why. Maybe God ain't there like you say he is. You've been taught.